Welcome to RoadSense Podcast, Break the Norm, brought to you by Road Safety Network. This is where conversations lead to safer, inclusive roads for India's future. We all know how fast India's road infrastructure is going. We've got sprawling expressways, logistics corridors, and big ticket upgrades happening across the country. It's exciting, right? But it also brings up a big question. As our roads grow faster, are they getting safer? With important policy discussions coming up this season, it's a good time to pause and reflect. Hi, I'm your host for the show, Priyanshi Jaiswal from Save Life Foundation, and I'm part of the Road Safety Network, a collective of organizations working together to save lives and transform how India moves. We've invited a well known expert who's been working on ground and on policy to help us make sense of what's needed, what's working, and what's next. Please welcome Mr. Ashing Sanyal. Ashing is the CEO and Secretary of Consumer Voice. He is a prominent leader in India's road safety movement with over 2 decades of experience in consumer policy. He has been instrumental in pushing critical reforms around safer vehicles and represents consumer interests on several high level government advisory and standardization bodies. Great to have you, Mr. Rashim.
Thank you, Priyanshi, for making me a part of the RoadSense podcast organized by Road Safety Network. Thank you for the invitation.
So, Ashim, we're building world class highways and corridors. We need to ask, but are we really ticking all the right boxes? Or are there still big gaps we need to bridge?
As a consumer organization, I'll be talking about safety first, in fact. And if safety is first, then on the roads, besides mobility, of course, then in that case, probably we are not ticking the right boxes because the MOT figure says a staggering number of 1.7 lakh people lost their lives on roads, which is phenomenal. In fact, and it also states that 36% of the road fatalities are occurring on the highways or the expressways. So both ways we have to improve quite a lot, and overspeeding contributed quite a lot in terms of two-thirds of the tragic losses, followed by helmets and non-use of helmets, seat belts. So there is a series of things that needs correction. In fact, but and we need to start actually ticking from now.
Agreed. I completely agree with you, Ashim. And that really sets the tone for the conversation. Since road safety, we're also talking about child safety and how dynamics on roads are changing. I'd like to ask you this. Every morning across cities and towns, we see kids going to school on three-wheelers, two-wheelers, e-rickshaws, all packed in. What about those vehicles? Are we truly protecting children during one of their most routine but crucial daily journeys? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, a very important questions, and you're right. When we think of school vehicles, we think of those big yellow buses which we see on screens, but in reality, especially in small towns and urban areas, but I think it's now true for all towns and all metro cities also. It's often a van, a shared auto rickshaw, a quadricycle, or now even a e-rickshaw. In fact, that is carting the children to school. The children are basically 6 to 10 children are squeezed in these vehicles uh, and taken to school under no supervision and under an untrained driver. So, if we expand the definition of school transport under Section 211 of the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act, it needs to include all these informal, I'm calling it inverted commas, informal vehicles into fold. And how do we do it? It's important for them to be registered, and if they are registered, then the next step registered with the RTOs, then the next step would be monitoring them and also guiding them towards a better transportation system, because we can't do away with these is the basic assumption that people will have. So in case we want to use them, we have to control them. Kids at any cost must be safer, because really protecting children every single day should not be optional. It should be mandatory, and it should be mandatory by registering all vehicles carrying school children to school.
I completely agree. So, safety of children should be definitely a priority. Building on that, there's another challenge that we've all noticed, especially around schools: unchecked speeding. The road may look empty, but you've got children crossing or playing nearby. So, Ashim, how do we deal with this? Speed limits, yes, but are they enough of measures?
Uh, Absolutely right in pointing out that speed continues to be the leading cause of crashes and fatalities all across, and especially in the school zones. There are many unchecked speeding. When we say that the school zones are important, it's also because we have vulnerable road users as school children who are crossing the roads or walking or cycling to school, and these are completely unchecked. And if you look at the section 112 of the Motor Vehicle Amendment Act, in fact, it should be amended to specifically allow contextual risk based speed limits. And what I mean simply by that is the school speed limits should be scientifically designed in a manner that all vehicles, whether it's a two-wheeler or it's a four-wheeler or it's a heavy vehicle, should not be allowed to travel at a maximum scientifically designed speed, which right now probably is around 25 kilometers per hour. If that happens, the collision proximity decreases, the braking capacity increases, and very obviously, we know that in the safe system approach, the vehicle speed impact is a critical factor between life and death. So, in that aspect, I think speed limit is going to be a very important factor in school zone. Besides speed calming measures, traffic lights, blinking lights, traffic lights, speed bumpers, these all will attribute towards a safer school zone. And this is an important aspect because they all go hand in hand. A traffic constable physically present and directing traffic would be an additional benefit. So let's speak about school zone in a very sensitive way, where we know that children crossing or traveling on those roads are not too aware about the road and do not have the road sense to tackle the high speed issues, in fact. So, congestion of school children should not be highlighted as an issue. We need to solve it with traffic calming measures.
Agreed. We need to treat child safety with sensitivity, as you rightly put. So, what more can we add to something like this? What are your thoughts?
Almost all day, we see two-wheeler passing, zipping by, including three-wheelers also, in fact. And the deficit that we notice on roads today is that the focus is on four-wheelers in terms of mandating the speed limits. Not only speed limits, but other incidental factors also. Uh, it is therefore necessary for us to acknowledge that two wheelers definitely are a risk factor, three wheelers come close behind, and we need to tackle them with a very firm hand in terms of penalizing them with higher penalties wherever they are crossing the speed limits. It is important to note that today they are zigzagging across the roads but rarely get caught. It is therefore an urgent request to the traffic management systems of all cities and all roads, in fact, to take into account that two wheelers and three wheelers cause major tragedies, and they should be in a controllable mode by definitely penalizing them uh, at opportune moment where they are crossing the speed limits. It cannot be for some vehicles only. It has to be for all vehicles. And we all know that four wheelers, I mean, two wheelers basically are 40, occupy 45, 44%, and add to that 14% of three wheelers. Well, you're talking about almost 60% of the road space being occupied by them. They have to be mandated, they have to be controlled.
That's a very powerful point. Road safety can't be selective, it has to be shared and systemic. While we discuss the road ahead, there's also been a landmark decision recently of the Supreme Court recognizing unobstructed, specially abled friendly footpaths as a right under Article 21 of the Constitution. That's a big step. And soon, as policymakers come together in the Parliament's upcoming session, we do hope road safety is among the pressing issues being taken up, right?
Absolutely. We are extremely glad to see road safety at the top of the agenda of the Honorable Supreme Court and passing such a crucial decision, a constitutional decision of Article 21, trying to safeguard the interest of pedestrians. Similarly, we expect the parliamentary session to give prominent space to road safety in the upcoming sessions. And I think this should happen because we are talking about saving lives. That is something which is everybody's responsibility. India is committed to having roads accidents or rather road casualties to 50% by 2030, something which is achievable when we have policies and laws together, in fact. And there are lots of policy changes that can be envisaged and lots of laws that can be amended to ensure that by the time we reach 2030, we have had a decline in the fatalities and the casualties on roads, which is only possible if policymakers do make a call for discussing road safety issues in the upcoming uh, parliamentary session. In fact, we must begin also by saying that it is envisaged that Viksit Bharat is a note of Prime Minister that is circulating for all of us to be proud of. And Viksit Bharat is not possible without having young people on the road. And if we take a look at the road casualty figures, the people losing their lives on the roads are between the age of 15 and 45. Like bread earners, imagine the condition of their families. All these factors should motivate our policymakers to discuss road safety policies in detail. If the changes happen, it is not about how frequently these changes are happening. We have had MVA 2019 as recent amendment, but again 5 years have passed, and we should acknowledge that in 5 years the dynamics have changed. New best practices have come across, so we need to adopt them. We need to be dynamic. Our parliamentarians have to be dynamic and be very open to safe systems approach, which consider all road users to be the same pedestrian. And we must consider that all road users have a same rights of usage of road. If we are talking about safe system approach, then vulnerable road users basically are treated inequality with motor vehicles. Today's fathom of giving importance to motor vehicles should gradually change the dimension and focus more on all road users. And if that can happen even by 2030, we can see a paradigm shift happening in Indian road safety scenario.
I completely agree with you. Safer roads shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a right for every road user. Thank you, Ashim, for joining us today and sharing such actionable insights. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the RoadSense podcast. If you found this helpful, Please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. And stay alert, stay aware, and let's make India's road safer together. Thank you.